Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. It's Sue Wenda, and I just wanted to let you guys know that yes, it is 1 p.m. I'm currently looking at the attendees. I'm going to allow maybe another 2 to 3 more minutes so that everyone can continue joining the webinar so that we don't miss anything. But at this time, we do have the handouts that's located on the sidebar if you're familiar with the trainings. Go ahead and use this time right now to download the handouts that's available to you. And we will be starting shortly. Please hang in there with me. Thank you. Alrighty, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining in today. I'm going to go ahead and begin this presentation for the sake of time. So I am so happy to be back here with you guys. I know it's been about a month since the last training that I did for everyone. For those of you that haven't already picked up on the voice or read the name on the screen, my name is Sue Wenda Lewis, and I'm going to be presenting I Can Do It Myself, Understanding 3-Year-Olds. Our fun group are 3-year-olds. But as always, before we begin, we have a few housekeeping items that I want to go ahead and go over with you all. So we know that we have the questions box. You want to click on the chat icon at the top of the toolbar. You want to use this to send the drop down menu to select your recipients of message. You can send messages to everyone and all the participants will receive it. We have the handouts, as I mentioned earlier, while we were waiting for everyone to join. There's 2 handouts currently available to you all. Please go ahead and download that because once the training ends, you will no longer have access to the file. Once you click on the handouts with the drop-down menu, you'll just click on it and it'll automatically download to your device. And another feature that's there, but we won't use so much today on this afternoon, is the hand raising. And that's just available if I ask you a question and I say by show of hands, you can just click on that hand icon. When the arrow's pointing up, that means your hand's raised. And when the arrow's pointing down, that means the hand is down. For the bulk of this training, we are going to be using the questions box. I see everything that's coming in. I'll stop in the midst of my training and answer any questions that might be relevant at that point in time. So feel free, if you do have a question, to go ahead and type it in that chat box and I'll try to get to that question as soon as possible when I notice it. Moving on, we know that we have our attendance credits pre and post test evaluation. You should have already received the pre-test and the evaluation when you were registering for this training. Once you close out, there's going to be a post test of 3 questions and a training survey of 5 questions, which will launch automatically. Please, 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 it's important to complete this information so that we know how we're doing and testing your knowledge and seeing what else you guys would want to learn about. So all the trainings will have that pre-test of the 3 questions to answer and register, and that post afterwards. All ELC Broward trainings are for in-service hours only. We only provide you with the in-service hours, which is still great because we know that we need to collect those in-service hours. And then upon completing the training, your training certificate will be emailed within 24 hours. And it's going to be sent to the email address that you used when you were registering. So please be mindful and check that email address that you use in order to register. In order to be marked as attended, you must log in on a computer or download the GoToWebinar app on your phone. Just calling in does not register attendance, so that's important. So if you're on the line but you cannot see my screen, that means that you would not be marked as attended for a certificate. So please make sure you can see my screen, you are logged in, you can hear me, and we're good to go, and you're not just on the phone. That's as much of our housekeeping and answering questions in regards to attendance credits, pre and post, and evaluations. I think you guys have been attending the trainings for some time now, and this is all familiar to you. But if there's any questions that you have that I did not answer, please feel free to put it in the chat box or the questions box, and I'll be able to answer that question once I receive it. We're gonna go ahead and move along. All right, so the voice behind the name, yes. My name is Sue Wendy Lewis, as some of you know, and as I mentioned earlier, I was born and raised in Broward County. I am Haitian and I do speak Creole. I have a master's degree in developmental disabilities. I'm a board certified behavior analyst. I am 3-class observer certified infant, toddler, and pre-K. I have the TA coaching certificate, and I have over 7 years in the field of early childhood education. And I am one of the fabulous inclusion specialists that is a part of the Early Learning Coalition of Broward County. So today we're in for a real big treat. We're going to be learning all about 3-year-olds, the best group that's out there. I kid. All the age levels are fun, but the 3-year-olds, that's just a time of really sponging in and soaking in information. And we're going to learn all about the 3-year-olds. So development occurs in 4 main areas of developmental domains in children. Here I have them broken off and separated, but growth and physical development and motor development goes hand in hand. So we're going to go over 3-year-olds cognitive development. We're going to go over the intellectual development and problem solving. We're going to go over language development, very important for this group, very crucial that we go over this information. We're also going to touch upon social emotional development, growth and physical development, as I mentioned, which include motor development. And then as an extra perk for this group, we're going to go over the classroom environment and interactions and how we can strengthen those skills in our classroom. So let's go ahead and dive on into all about our 3-year-olds. So as I was creating this and coming up with some information to present to you fabulous people, I came across this quote in reference to 3-year-olds, and I thought it was very fitting. It says, "I'm going to ask you to do something for me, but I'm going to freak out if you don't let me do it by myself." That is all pertaining to 3-year-olds. They want to do everything by themselves. They want you to help them, but they also want to do it on their own, and they also want to figure things out on their own. So it's about almost knowing and giving them that happy medium. So a lot of times we refer to 3-year-olds at that peak of that preschool age, and children of the preschool age, they're exploring a wide range of emotions. They show anger, they show love, they show dependency, they show fear, and many other emotions. But during this stage of they often have a vast imagination, like their minds are so beautiful. They frequently have imaginary friends, like I did when I was younger. Me and my siblings, we all shared one imaginary friend. And you know what? I don't even think that friend was imaginary. I think that friend really, truly does exist. They are also becoming more independent and want to make more decisions for themselves as 3-year-olds. They may like to select their own clothing, like my nephew. He likes to mismatch currently, but the big thing is he's selecting his own clothing or make small selections. Their personal identity is forming during this period. Like they're becoming who they are going to be. They're starting to shape, they're starting to understand the world around them. Their physical, emotional, social, and intellectual identities are developing, and they're emerging as they evolve through the phase of life of really getting to understand what's taking place. It's like those earlier years, that 0 to 2, you know, they're there, they're understanding themselves, life, and what's taking place, the people around them. But 3-year-olds, they're like, I'm ready. Like, I'm ready to kick off my shoes and take off running. Let me go, let me go, let me go. I'm ready. And in this training, we are going to discuss everything that a 3-year-old is ready to do. Alrighty? So let's go ahead and dive on deeper. So our overview, specific goals for 3-year-old programs include develop independence and build self-expression skills like we spoke about. They strengthen social interaction with peers and adults. That's going to be a big portion. Like I said, our 3-year-olds are sponges. They're soaking everything in. So interaction with peers and adults are going to be crucial during this developmental stage. They want to explore the concept behind early literacy, math, and problem solving techniques, and reinforce fine and gross motor skills, which we're going to discuss as well. So before we begin, I wanted to show and start off with this video. It's age 3 cognitive development. It's milestones of child development. So I'm going to go ahead and start that video. And once I do start that video, please type yes in the chat box if you can see the video once I start it and if you can definitely hear it. All right, so if you didn't already have the buy-in by what I was telling you about 3-year-olds, I hope this video helped you grab a better understanding, a quick overview of what to expect with our 3-year-olds and what it is that we're going to be learning today. All right, so moving forward. Cognitive development. So when we think about cognitive development, what exactly are we referring to in reference to 3-year-olds? So it's development or of the ability to think, understand, or being able to reason. Cognitive abilities such as memory, information processing, and other problem solving emerge throughout childhood. So as for 3-year-olds, when we talk about their cognitive development, we're talking about their intellectual abilities to become more refined. Attention span lengthens during this time frame. If they were able to sit and wait for 1 minute, now they're able to sit and engage for at least 3 to 4 minutes. Their curiosity leads them to observation, analysis, problem solving, and recognizing cause and effect. That's where all that exploring and I want to do it all by myself comes in, because they're curious about what's taking place. And unlike 2-year-olds, they're taking it to another level of analyzing and problem solving and understanding cause and effect. And then the memory and ability to anticipate events increase. Like the woman said in the video, they understand what's going to happen later. They're going to understand what's happening now. So that actually helps them increase their interest on events that is to come. So when we talk about cognitive development of 3-year-olds, they can work toys with buttons. That's that cause and effect. It has the levers, it has the pop-ups, it has moving parts. It's all a part of that cause and effect for 3-year-olds. They play make-believe with dolls, animals, and people. Sometimes those figures may not represent what they're supposed to, but they have that imagination, that make-believe, and they're able to facilitate in that way. They do puzzles with at least 3 or 4 pieces on that's included on the puzzle. They understand what 2 means and concept of math and numbers. They're able to copy a circle with a pencil or crayon. They're able to turn book pages one at a time and actually look at the picture and focus in on pictures and the stories and put pieces together. They're able to build towers of more than 6 blocks, which helps them cognitively plan out what's actually going to take place. So 3-year-olds are able to do all of these things by themselves without needing the assistance of an adult. So when we talk about what you can do as a professional or as a teacher or as a parent to assist 3-year-olds during this time, it's important that you can do things such as cutting out pictures from old magazines. When you cut out pictures from old magazines, you can almost make silly pictures by gluing parts of different pictures together. Maybe you take the dog tail, maybe you take the face of a human, or you take a car and you glue the dog into the car as the driver. Things like that help your child explain what it is to be a silly picture. You can sort pictures and objects into categories like food or animals or shape. You can also ask your child to find the picture of object that does not belong. For example, a baby does not belong with the animals. Those are all things that you can do to help their cognitive development. You can read, sing, and talk about what you do and where you go. When we're reading and when we're singing, we know that engages our 3-year-old. You want to use rhyming words because they're picking up on those at that age 3. This will help your child learn new words and sentences and help them expand their thinking as well as expand their vocabulary. You want to look at family pictures, have your child tell stories about the pictures. When they're able to talk about when you're able to talk about the story with your child, it helps he or she recall or even retell a story or act out with props and dressing up with clothing about things that happen. They can even go further and tell their favorite part of the story or their favorite part of what happened at Thanksgiving, and they're recalling and connecting information. You want to help your child understand by asking them questions. Questions are very, very important. And it's not just those closed-ended questions, yes or no. You want to ask questions that helps them to actually process and think and help them understand what's actually taking place. Have him or her try to fool you with his own questions. They can ask you questions. You can make this a game sometimes by pretending that some of his or her questions fool you. You can act out daily activities like cooking, food, or even going to the doctor. You want to use dress up and role play as a great time for learning. We're going to go over that when we go into our classroom environment. Role playing helps your child understand how others talk and how others act. And that's important for 3-year-olds because they're like sponges, as I said, and they're soaking all that information up. This will help them learn their social skills and how to tell stories as well later on in life. And you want to talk to your child in the language you are most comfortable using. That's very important because sometimes, we're a full melting pot here. And sometimes we don't speak the same languages. And sometimes you think that you have to speak English so that you can help your child develop those skill set. But no, in actuality, you want to speak in the language that you're comfortable in speaking. And you want to make sure you speak in the language that's native to you guys in your household. And it's okay that the child can go back and forth with both those languages, but it's important that we do so. I see I have a question in the chat box. Can you guys hear me? I just want to make sure everyone can hear me. If you can hear me, can you please say yes in the chat box? Just want to make sure before I go any further that you guys can hear me. Awesome. I'm getting a lot of yeses. Beautiful. So for Mercedes, if you can't hear me, try logging out and logging back in, and maybe that will help you. I'm going to go ahead and continue on. So these are things that teachers, parents, caregivers, whomever can do with 3-year-olds to help with that cognitive development. So now we want to move on to language development. So language and communication is big, like I told you guys in the beginning. It's this time they're soaking everything in, and I'm going to keep repeating that because they are like sponges. They're taking everything in all those developmental areas, and they're starting to like run off. So when we talk about language and communication, it's the capacity to communicate. It's the ability and desire to connect with others by exchanging ideas and feelings. And that happens to be both verbally, whether we're talking, and non-verbally, whether we're using gestures. Those are all signs of language and communication, or if we're using sign language, all forms. Most children learn to communicate to get a need met or how to establish and maintain interaction with a loved one. So they actually learn this skill. They're already pre-wired for it, but we as adults need to strengthen it through the interactions that we provide for them. So language development. So I told you I'm going to be going back and forth with using the phrase preschoolers and 3-year-olds because the age 3 marks that beginning of preschool development. So preschoolers understand more words than they can speak. Reinforcement, encouragement, and good examples from caregivers promote language development. So when we say reinforcement and encouragement, like when they're having that conversation, you're reinforcing them for having that conversation. You're allowing them to persist and move further, and you're encouraging them and giving them good examples of what to say or how to say something or how to express themselves. Language become more expressive with facial expressions, gestures, and tone of voice. Our 3-year-olds are very, very animated because they are starting to understand all that's taking place. So when we talk about expressive, that's that output that's coming out to those that they're communicating in. When we talk about that receptive, that's what they're hearing and how they're able to follow through on that direction that's provided. So when I say receptive, that follow 2 to 3 step instructions, 3-year-olds are able to do so at this point in time. So if I said, let's stand up, push your chair in, and line up, those are things that 3-year-olds are starting to understand. They can name most familiar things that are nouns that's there, the animals, cars, things that are in their everyday environment. That's why it's important that we label things in our environments, because they're becoming familiar to a lot of things and they're learning new words at that same time by being exposed. They understand words like in, on, and under are prepositions. They say first name, age, and sex at this point of time. They know the names of their friends. They're able to identify their friends in their classroom or siblings in their home setting, and they're able to identify them individually by who they are and their names. They say words like I, me, we, and you, and name some object. I think one of the biggest things is the me and the I, because it belongs to them and it's mine. That's the big part for 3-year-olds. They talk well enough for strangers to understand. So there comes a point in time where toddlers, you would say, a lot of adults may not understand their vocabulary or what's actually coming out. But by the time the child hits 3-year-olds, they should be able to talk well enough for a stranger. If they were to ask them a question, they would be able to understand what it is that they're trying to articulate or what it is that they're trying to say. And then they're able to carry on conversation using at least 2 to 3 sentences in that conversation. So these are all part of that typical development in language and communication for a 3-year-old. Having conversation with 3-year-olds are hilarious. It's great. I mean, like I said, they carry on that conversation using 2 to 3 sentences, and they're able to maintain with you. And we actually want to use those feedback loops and ask them questions and extend for them so that they can continue to increase the amount of sentences that they're able to speak in conversations. So what can you do as a professional, a teacher, a parent, a caregiver, in order to help strengthen those skills or encourage our 3-year-olds? So like I said before, you want to encourage that back and forth exchange. That is so very, very important. You want to tune into children's interests and experiences and talk about it with them. One of the things that I used to always do, and that was even before even knowing, like whenever I was going through something or something was on my mind, I would actually talk to my nephew. I don't know, it made me feel better because it's a friend that doesn't judge you. They'll listen to everything that you say. Yes, they'll make comments about it and they'll go back and forth with you, but it's just enough so that you don't feel like you're being judged, but you're able to vent and get everything out. So tune into children's interests and experience and talk to them. Take turns communicating, and that's about any and everything that's pertinent or relevant at that time. You want to show that you're interested in what they're doing and listening to what it is that they're saying. If they want to show you something, go see what it is that they want to show you. And then don't forget your role. Expand on what it is that you're seeing so that you can continue to help build their vocabulary. You want to provide time for children to respond. I know sometimes it's difficult because, they have that lag or that break, but you actually want them to have that moment to think so they know what it is that they're processing and what it is that they're actually going to say next. That's very important that we allow them to have that time. Sometimes it might seem like that uncomfortable break where we just want to put in that language for them of what it is that they want to say, but allow them that time to provide a response. You want to extend children's language, like I've been saying, expanding on children's words or their attempts at words by adding a little bit more. For example, something you can do is like if a child says ball, you can actually encourage them or extend them by saying the ball is blue or the blue ball is bouncing. Adding new rich vocabulary to their words is very, very important. It helps them to continue and carry it through. So that's very important. And then they can use them later. You want to restate children's language using correct grammar so that they can pick up on it and they can make the correction as needed. Yes, their memory is good. they do remember. I have a comment in the chat box that says it's amazing how they remember you if you were their 3-year-old teacher. Yes, that's that stage of understanding. 3-year-olds will remember a lot, so be mindful. It's important that you're very, very mindful about what you're putting into our 3-year-old, what you're saying, and what we're teaching them, so that they can continue to grow and develop into big 4-year-olds. So you want to invite children to talk about what they are doing. It's important that you invite children to talk about what they're doing. You want to comment on what children are actually doing in any given scenario. Ask children questions about what they're doing, what they did before, and what they plan to do next. You want to encourage them to make comparison and consider other possibilities. You want to that analyzing and that problem solving and that brainstorming. You want to actually extend those to 3-year-olds so that they can start processing those parts of communication and language. And then always encourage higher level thinking. Help children make connections between what is happening in the classroom and what is happening in the home or community. If we're reading a book about Humpty Dumpty and he's an egg, where else do you see eggs? That's some connections that you can bring back. Okay, when mommy's making breakfast, there's eggs there. That's an egg. And then what does mommy do with the egg? Oh, she cracks it. Well, what happens when an egg falls on the ground? It cracks. Some of those things. Or where do eggs come from? And you start talking about the animals and the chickens and all different sorts of things by making those connections. Well, where did you see a chicken? Maybe we visited the farm last week. Those are all important things to encourage higher level thinking. And then at that same time, you want to explain your thinking process and introduce new concepts or new ideas to our 3-year-olds, because they're at that point of time where they can take it all in and they can run with it. So it's important that we're providing them with that as adults. So that's exactly what we can do in regards to communication and language for our fabulous 3-year-olds. All right, so when we talk about motor and physical development, sometimes during the 3rd year, 3-year-olds start to look less like infants. They're becoming who they are in their physical development. So they're sort of kind of losing those little cute little baby looks, but they're going 3, going on 30. That's our 3-year-olds. Yep. The control which preschools have over many of their physical function becomes more refined. They're able to do more things when we're talking about their motor development. Motor skills continue to develop during the preschool years, especially in their hands and feet. And we're going to go over some of the skill set that they're able to do because of those developments that's taken place in their hands and feet. And yes, I see some responses coming in. They're able to jump, riding bikes, scooters. Somebody seems like they're a part of that 3-year-old lifestyle or in the 3-year-old classroom, very knowledgeable about the 3-year-olds. Excellent. So yeah, so those are some of the examples. And we're going to get into a few. So when we talk about physical development, growth is slow and gradual for our 3-year-olds. Appetites are small for 3-year-olds. That's because they're starting to pick what it is that they want during this time frame. Nutrition is especially important with our 3-year-olds. Children begin to lose baby-like features like we talked about. Their heart rate slows and steadies. The blood pressure increases. And then the digestive tract starts to mature, lags behind other organs because it's starting to take its place. 3-year-olds sometimes cannot handle their digestive tract sometimes cannot handle high fiber food. So that's important to keep in mind. But that's so much about the physical development of our 3-year-olds. Now, when we talk about the motor development, we're talking about the gross or large motor skills as well as the fine motor skill. So when we talk about gross motor, we have skills that involve larger muscles, including our arms and legs. So those were the jumping and the riding the bike and the scooters, things that came up in the chat box. That falls into our gross or large motor skills. And then our fine or small motor skills, those are skills that involve smaller muscles in the fingers, the toes, the eyes, and other areas. Actions that require fine motor skills are drawing, writing, throwing, waving, and catching. Those are all considered some of our fine motor skills. Now, where are our 3-year-olds in regards to motor development at this time? So, when we look at the fine motor skills, they're continuing to develop during this time. So, fine motor, they are better able to control their wrist and finger movements as they practice skills such as using crayons and paint brushes to create shapes and pictures. So not only are they using the crayons and paint brushes, they're actually using it to actually connect with that cognitive skill of creating shapes and pictures. They're able to write some letters and form various letters in the alphabet. They're able to do simple cooking tasks such as maybe, mixing the cake in the bowl. They're able to do that because that wrist is starting to strengthen and they're getting control of it. They're able to have the coordination to begin to cut with various scissors, and they're able to scribble with large crayons and pencils. So those are some of the fine motor development of a 3-year-old. When we talk about gross motor, their skill improves as the large muscle matures. That large muscle is starting to mature. They're able to do stuff such as walking, running, jumping, feeding, washing hands, kicking. I can do it all by myself. So they're able to do some of these things on their own without needing assistance from the adults. So it's important that our 3-year-olds learn to use their fine and gross motor skills together during the early childhood years. When 3-year-olds learn how to run, jump, hop, walk, and tiptoe and ride a tricycle, that strengthens their gross motor skills. They scribble with the large crayons and pencils and cut around shapes with blunt scissors. They're able to do that with some assistance from the adults. So those are some of the things that a 3-year-old can do. And then as we go a little further into that gross motor development, we see that 3-year-olds can climb well. You see that 3-year-old on there, he has it, he's doing it all by himself. But please make sure safety first, that we're there spotting him, just in case something was to happen. They run easily, they pedal a tricycle, they walk up and down stairs, 1 foot on each step, and they're able to screw and unscrew jars, lids, or turn door handles. So those are all part of that fine and gross motor skills in the classroom. So I'm going to use this time now to ask you guys a question. What are some things that you're doing in your classroom that help strengthen the motor skills of your 3-year-olds? You can go ahead and use this time and type in the chat box of some of the things that you do with your 3-year-olds that help strengthen their motor skills. Someone said they have a 3-year-old that cut better than a 5-year-old. Some students, their fine motor skills are developing at a fast rate, and they might have that wrist might have been strengthened, so yes, they're able to cut through. The 5-year-old probably just needs to work more on some activities, some fine motor activities to help strengthen their fine motor skills. Push pins, yes, that's a good one. The clothes pins, that's another excellent one that 3-year-olds are able to start to do with that fine motor skill. Cutting, using the Play-Doh. But when we talk about the Play-Doh, what else can we do with the Play-Doh with our 3-year-olds? Painting. What else can we do with painting with our 3-year-olds to strengthen and connecting to that cognitive skill, those Legos? So here's some things that we can do. Wait, first I'm going to show you a video, then I'm going to give you the things that we can do. So this is a video of a quality preschool teacher-child interaction. In this video, you're going to see what it is that the teacher did as far as gross and motor skills, but how she took it up a notch by connecting it with that cognitive development, that language development, in order to help that child all around. But it was still during that gross motor skills. So I want to show you guys this video. Give me 1 second while I play it, and then we'll go into more strategies or things that we can do as adults or caregivers to help strengthen those skills. of our fabulous threes. Alrighty. And as always, please let me know when you do see that video playing. Just type yes in the chat box. All right, so I really love that video because the teacher there is actually taking that time to extend that child's cognitive skills, that language development. The child, there was one part that I wish she would have went further in when she asked, "Are you in front of me or behind me?" Because that was another great concept that she was hitting in. And this is outside during, their physical activity, their gross motor time. Yes, he's hopping and moving and playing and having fun, but she tied in those cognitive development, that language development, uh, counting, rolling the dice. Those are all things that are considered both that gross fine motor development as well as tying in that cognitive and language development. He was able to count and use that visual to see how many dots were on the dice when he was rolling it, and it landed on there for him. They were having conversation about what was taking place. So those are all great important things that are taking place when we talk about the gross motor and fine motor skill, while tying in some of our other domains such as that cognitive and language skill. What is something that you've seen in the video that stood out to you? You can go ahead and type it in the chat box, or something that was great that you noticed in this video that was different. So go ahead and type that in the chat box. What's something that stood out to you in this video? I just really, she could have went on with that in front and behind and extended that for him and taught him that skill set, because I think it kind of went past him. But that was a great learning opportunity. If she would have persisted a little more, that would have been great. Oh, yes, that's another one. Thank you for reminding me. The child corrected her, and you can tell that she purposely went up an extra step in her jumps. And then he was like, no, you're only supposed to have two. So, and he understood when she went back, those simple math concepts there that are taking place as they're outside during this gross motor time frame. So that, yes, that was another great example. I almost missed that one. She was very attentive and played with the child. Great answer. Yes, she was very attentive. They were in there together. They were learning together. They were counting together. They were fixing mistakes together. They used prepositions. Beautiful. Excellent. Those are all things that took place in this video. Beautiful. And this is all during what? That video was maybe a minute or two. That was all great things, and they were all connected together. very engaged. Absolutely. So yes, that was great. So I love that video when we're talking about our gross motor and fine motor development and how we can intertwine them together. So another important part is self-help skills. Skills that help children. There are skills that help children become more independent. As I want to do it all by myself, they want to be independent. So why not? So they're able to use a fork and spoon without spilling, wash and dry hands with supervision, brush teeth with assistance. You know, you can have those fun songs going for them so that they're able to do this. Use the toilet consistently. They might have a few accidents, but they're on their way and they're ready to go. They're able to dress and undress self with help. Remember, I spoke about my nephew that, you know, has a very interesting sense of fashion because he wants to dress himself. But nonetheless, like I tell mom, that's promoting his independence, and that's great for his age because that's the direction that he should be going in. And they're able to put their own things away, help with cleanup, and put things where they belong within a classroom or at home. So those are all some of the self-help skills of a 3-year-old. So it's important that we start, before I go on, that we start having our 3-year-old assist more in the classroom and those jobs and those roles in the classroom because they're understanding it and they want to do it and they want to be engaged, so that we provide them with those opportunities. If they have a spill on the table, that we're encouraging them to go get the paper towel and let's clean it up together, and not so much of, you know, it being an upset moment or a moment where they have to go sit down while you clean it up. While they're wiping that table with that spill, they're still using those fine motor skills, that visual perception where they have to see something and understand when it's clean versus dirty. You want to use those opportunities to tie in that cognitive development, that language development, that gross motor, that fine motor, to help them go on their way. So understand, like I said, they're soaking it all in, and those are different ways that we can tie in those things. So yeah, with that spill, having them wipe it down, understanding when it's clean, when it's dirty, understanding circular motions as they're wiping down, and promoting that independence, that they did it, they cleaned it, and they were in charge of what took place. So that's a great thing to do with our 3-year-olds too, and their self-help skills. So what can you do for our 3-year-olds, or what can our adults do? So it's important that you can help them by ensuring that they have plenty of space to play both indoors and outdoors. Like we said, their motor skills are increasing, their trunk is growing. Make sure they have that opportunity or that space to do or engage in that fun. You want to provide opportunities and in a safe environment. You want the child to experience a wide range of movements, such as swinging, spinning, hopping, jumping, hanging upside down, all of those great things, so they can start to understand their body and the strength that it has, and understanding what their legs can do, what their arms can do, is what muscles works. So that you want to provide a safe environment for all that to take place. You want to also provide time for them to rest, because our 3-year-olds, they're active, they're moving, they're doing a lot, they're so engaged that they do get tired easily, and they need to rest and refuel to go back at it again so they can continue learning and exploring. And then you want to help your child to explore what they can do with their bodies, and it can be lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of fun, because you can actually take part in this too as well. I think I have another video that's going to come up that's going to show you different things that they can do with their bodies at this time. You want to encourage the child to make lines and shapes with big muscle movements, such as drawing in the air. It's not only paper and pencil that you can use. You can air draw. You can put material in a Ziploc bag, such as like gel, and form letters through that, and that helps with that fine motor skill. You can put chart paper on the wall so they can make those big strokes back and forth, and that's going to help strengthen that wrist like they're doing, and that fine motor skills. You can attach ribbons to stick, and painting outdoor surfaces with water. Those are all great things that you can do to help a child with developing those motor skills, those fine and gross motor skills. All right, so, and moving on, you can help by giving your child lots of opportunities for drawing and writing and making marks. If they see you writing, they want to copy you. So let's say you're making a grocery list, for instance. You can give them a pen and paper and have them create their own grocery list as well of things that they want to pick up at the grocery store or things that they're going to help you pick up at the grocery store. You want to let them experiment with a variety of writing utensils or tools. The different textures, you can use sugar paper, you can use the chalkboard, you can use the whiteboard, we can use bubble wrap. I love bubble wrap. We can use sandpaper on long strips of lining wallpapers to help them with the experiment with those different writing tools. And you want to allow children to use safety scissors and give them different things to cut, such as paper, card, foil, fabric. They can start to understand the difference and compare the difference between how easy or hard it is to cut through those things or even rip through those things. We want to encourage them to draw circles and lines on different textures and in different places. You want to do up and down, sideways. Those are all different things that we can do to help strengthen our 3-year-olds with their fine and gross motor skills. So before we move on to their social emotional development, as you guys see, as one section builds upon the other, you can see how they're not isolated alone. They all come together to form this big framework of the whole child and that working system. So it's not just one skill area, it's crossing over all of these different domains to make that child a better child or help strengthen, I guess, that child development. But before we move on, do we have any questions as far as their language development, the cognitive development, or that physical growth and fine motor development? Do we have any questions? You can type no in the chat box, or you can type yes with your question in the chat box to let me know that you guys are with me and we're on a roll. No questions. I must be that awesome. I kid, guys. No questions. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So if you guys have no questions, I'm going to go ahead and move forward into that social emotional development. All right, so when we talk about social emotional development, what is it that we're referring to? So it all has to do with our loving relationship gives young children a sense of comfort, safety, confidence, and encouragement. So just listening to those words, a sense of comfort, safety, confidence, encouragement. When you're learning new things and you're exploring and you have comfort, you have safety, you have confidence, and you have encouragement, even if you don't get it right the first time, guess what that leads you to be able to do because you have all of those characteristics there. You're able to get back up and try again. So that's important for that social emotional development of our 3-year-olds. Social emotional developments teach young children how to form friendships, communicate emotions, and to deal with challenges, and that's important. You have strong, positive relationships also help children develop trust, empathy, compassion, and a sense of right and wrong. Our 3-year-olds are starting to understand what is right and what is wrong. Yes, they're testing you and pushing buttons because they're starting to understand that. But it's our job to assist them as they develop through and go through that phase. So these are all things that are important when we're talking about that social emotional development of a 3-year-old. So 3-year-old social emotional in a nutshell. They copy adults and friends. They're copying, they're copying, they're copying. Monkey see, monkey do, monkey see, monkey do. Yes, that's what's happening. We're hoping that monkey see, monkey do. It's all the right things that's supposed to be taken and things that's going to extend on their current development. They show affection for friends. They understand when someone's sad. They understand when someone's hurt. That's all important. Yes, we are going to go into a 3-year-old classroom and the environment. So bear with me. Great question. Sorry, guys. I was reading something in the chat box about the environment for the 3's. So yeah, so they take turns in games. They're able to sit for short periods, like I told you before. So they're able to turn take and understand turn taking in games. They show concerns for crying friends, which is always such a cute thing because they can tell the teacher when someone's hurt or when someone's sad or what's actually taking place, and they actually want to know and make their friends feel better. They understand the idea of mine, his, and or hers. They may not like it, but they do understand that concept that he had it first or she had it first or that belongs to him or that's mine. They're understanding the idea of those. They showed a wide range of emotion. They separate easily from mom and dad during this point of time. That separation starts to happen easily. They have that 0 to 2 phrase where they were with that parent, they have that attachment. Now that they have that secure attachment, and that's when it's secure and when it's done appropriately, and when it's loving, they're able to detach a bit from mom and dad. They may get upset with changes in routine, so it's important that we have those visual schedules, we have those routine, and we're starting to implement that for our children at this age, and we're following it through, especially if something gets in the way of our schedule. We're explaining what's taking place or why our schedule is interrupted because our 3-year-olds are aware of that and they need to know what just happened, or they will get upset with changes in the routine. Yes, 3-year-olds have a lot of empathy. They're such the cutest things at that point of time. They don't mind their business too at that point of time because they're in everything. They dress and undress themselves as we spoke about before. You'll start seeing how some of these collaborate with one another. So with their social emotional development, it's all about independence and autonomy. That's why the title is I Can Do It All by Myself. So 3-year-olds assert their independence and make their own decisions. They're the boss, the big boss. 3 going on 30. 3-year-olds often resist cooperating in routines if they don't know what's taking place or you're not explaining things to them. And 3-year-olds are sensitive about being shown, helped, or directed because once again, they really want to try to do things on their own, and it's our role to support them and allow them to have that opportunity. So when we talk about play, play is a big portion of 3-year-old development. Playing for children is learning. So essentially, play is the work of children. See how we go to work and we have to do all these presentations or papers, or we go to school and have to do all the homework? Well, play is their work. And it's time that we understand that play is their work. That's what they're going to get their paycheck for playing. And if I can be 3 all over again, I would enjoy it. Playing is learning for children. They learn from coming in contact with objects, people, and events. Children play as they explore the world around them. They're learning, they're understanding concepts. They engage in various types of play, such as cooperative, dramatic, and manipulative. So it's important for our teachers, our parents, our caregivers, whoever it is that's that figure in that child's life, they should plan on teaching strategies which offer a variety of different learning activities. You want to set up to achieve specific goals and objectives for their physical, emotional, social, and intellectual development for our 3-year-olds. While they're playing, they're exploring the world around them through various types of plays, like I mentioned before. So we want to make sure we set it up for them so that they can get the full experience of their play and what's to come. So there's different types of plays that 3-year-olds engage in. So they play with object, which is symbolic play. They engage in fantasy play, which is pretend, project mental images on objects. An example of that is a stick can be a horse. I remember like when I was younger, I used to use my mommy high heels and I would put my Barbies in there, and that was the Barbie cars. So that's play with the objects and the symbolicness of it. You know, you have to be creative. They play with people, associative play. two or more children play in a common activity. It does not have to be organized. They're no longer at that parallel play where they're playing next to each other or near each other, but they're actually engaged in play with each other at this point in time. And I'm going to go further when we get into our environment on how in the classroom we can help strengthen that skill and help our children with their play. Sorry if you guys hear my dog barking. All right, so what can we do as adults when we're talking about play? So playing games with your child can be lots of fun, and it's the best way for them to learn. You want to try games and activities that involve like counting, sorting, because they're at that pre level of that mathematics skills or that cognitive skill. So it can involve the counting, the sorting, the color and matching. That visual perception is amazing at that time. You can play simple spot the different game. They're learning what's the same, what's the different, and ask your child to find those different things. Or you can also do like jigsaw puzzles or board games are good, or picture card games like pairs and snap. And then you could also try hiding small toys or various items in a sandbox and ask your child to name them from just by using their senses, touching and feeling, and try to see if they can figure out what exactly it is that they're touching and give them that time to process and think about what's taking place so that they can actually figure it out on their own. So next, I'm going to show you guys a video, and I think this video might be my longer video. It's long, but it gives great information about the importance of play. It's a guy that's in this video. His voice may sound a bit dull, but there's great content and great information in this video in reference to play and what it actually means during this stage for 3-year-olds. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video. You guys know the routine. If you can hear it and see it once I play it, please be of great support and send yes in the chat box. All right, give me one moment. I am so sorry, guys. I definitely did that because I was trying to tell you guys something in reference to the video, and I hope I can go back to where I was. But and I kind of lost my train of thought because I'm like, why can't I talk to them? But nonetheless, I was trying to point out, I love how that teacher is actually dressed up in that, I think it's like the Home Depot's attire, and she's actually sitting and playing, and she has like a notepad out, and she's assisting those children during their play, and you can almost tell that she's expanding, or they're in that block area and they're building something, or she's probably asking measurements. So those are different ways that we can deepen what's actually taking place. So I'm going to try to go back and play it, and hopefully it plays. If not, I'm sorry, guys. Let's see. Awesome. So I just love, 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 love that video. Like I said, it is a bit old, but it definitely goes deeper into play and what it is that we can expect through play and how we can appropriately facilitate play. Bear with me one moment as I transition back to my PowerPoint, but I am here with you guys. How we can facilitate play so that it's, a great experience for our 3-year-olds. So when we go into our next section, we're going to actually dive into the classroom environment and interaction. So that was a great segue into what to expect in the classroom environment and interaction for our 3-year-olds. So in a preschool classroom, we know that there are a variety of learning centers. And then we use these learning centers as a hand-on approach through experimental learning paired with teacher interaction. I think the important part is paired with teacher interaction, because our teachers are going to be needed there to help expand and take that child to that next level. But important part through the video that I learned is being respectful and understanding when it's time for you to leave, but actually being engaged meaningfully, that we're actually still learning and taking that child to that next level while playing. So this allowed each child to learn and grow at their own rate when we're doing this. Learning centers contain a variety of materials that the child is able to manipulate based on the interest and experience level. So just because it's a block area doesn't mean that it has to be limited to only blocks, right? We can have paper and pencil, and you see she had the measuring tape there available. Those are all part of the classroom environment and interaction when we're talking about playing and our 3-year-olds, being that this is a crucial time and experience for them. Their learning centers will be utilized every day as children's interests emerge and change throughout the school year. We have to make sure that the materials and the things that we have in the centers are changing and emerging throughout the school year as well. Also, yes, when I have a chat box, my lovely manager, Debbie, when adults are playing with children challenging behaviors, yes, they definitely diminish. Why? Because children are engaged. They're doing what it is that they love to do. When I'm shopping inside of Macy's, I'm happy, I'm chipper, I'm that great person. I don't have an attitude. I'm very pleasant. Why? Because I enjoy shopping with children. When they're engaged and playing and they're enjoying, that's the key word, enjoying what it is that they're doing. They're learning, behaviors do diminish, and it's a great overall time for learning and expanding on what it is that you guys were learning previously in the day, or whatever or concept you guys were working in small group. You can go ahead and bring it into center times, that number concept, the colors, all of those great things. Yes, add books into centers to spark interest. And a big thing to note is that books don't only have to be in the library area or the story time area. Books can be engraved, or magazines, newspapers, clip arts can be engraved in various areas of the centers, and the blocks area only because I know that's a big area and it's usually only blocks in this area. Maybe they're going to build a newspaper stand and they can have the newspaper there available, and you can tie in those connections, or they can make their own newspaper article. Those are some of those things that help spark children interest, and where we bring in all of those areas of development to continue to enrich the development of our 3-year-olds. Great comments, guys. So as we move forward, I love this picture, or this quote, I should say. I think it's very, very important that we understand. I am a 3-year-old. I am not built to sit still, keep my hands to myself, take turns, be patient, stand in line, or keep quiet. I need motion, I need novelty, I need adventure, and I need to engage in the world with my whole body. Let me play. And at the bottom, a disclaimer. Trust me, I am learning during this time frame. And I promise you, as a 30-year-old, I feel like this still responds to me, like needing to move and needing the novelty, needing adventure, needing the entire body to be engaged. Like, have fun, enjoy what you're doing, because with that, there's still that learning that is taking place. We know that children learn from coming in contact with objects, people, and events. Children play as they explore the world around them. They engage in various types of play, as we talked about before. So it's important that we understand that for our 3-year-olds. You challenge your 3-year. Claudia says she challenged them and they do it. Yes, challenge them, take them to that next level. That's what the 3s are all about, because they're ready and willing. So why are centers important for young children? So in the preschool classroom, we know that there's a variety of learning centers, as we mentioned before. And learning centers are a hands-on approach for experimental learning. They also allow children to learn and grow at their own rate. So center-based learning responds to how children think and learn. They offer purposeful, hands-on, active learning. They're not just playing, they're learning. And that's where, as you see in the video, where teachers or caregivers or that adult can come in and help engage and expand on their learning that's taken place at that time. Uh, engage children in thinking and problem solving during that time. He needed the long block. Well, there wasn't any more long blocks. What could we do? The other young boy put 2 blocks together and was like, look, haha, this is a long block. Those are all things that are taking place, the concept of short and long that are taking place during this time. Questions are open-ended and responsive to different levels of learners. You can hone in during that time frame to meet each individual child where they're at to see how you can expand their play. You want to allow children to work independently, collaboratively, and successfully. Like, again, as I mentioned in the video, you know, you're there, you're helping them, you're expanding, but being respectful and understand when it's time for them to get back to their exploring. I think it's making sure you have a happy medium of 2. You don't just want to leave children all by themselves exploring, because sometimes they never get to that next level. But with that adult interaction, being able to expand or provide that conversation or pique their understanding, you're able to take them to that next level and then leave them with that little nugget and then continue on to the other children in your classroom. And day by day, those small little tidbits that you drop in, or those interactions that are so meaningful that you drop in, help them expand their learning and their thought process of what's taking place. And you're teaching them new ways to engage with materials. And every center, there's colors, there's number concept that can be done, there's shapes, all of these things that we talked about in our cognitive development. All of those can be brought into our center and learning. All of that gross motor, that fine motor, all of those things, the writing, having menus in different centers so that when you're playing in that dress up area or you're playing in that make believe area, they're able to fully vast in on their literacy skill, their handwriting skills as they create menus or go through menus. And we're going to go into the importance of the type of materials to have during these center times. So the 3 main benefits of center times are oral language development, self-regulation, and social skills development that's taking place during that time frame. Yes, and it's important to know that all children do not learn in the same way. So you might be working on a concept during small group and a child might not be grasping the concept, but you go into the block area where that child loves, or you go into the art area where that child loves, and you're able to tie in that concept that took place, or you're able to reiterate what happened in the story, and they can draw out what happened in the story, and they're able to understand various concepts by the way that they learn when they're engaged and enjoying what it is that they're doing. So that's important to keep in mind as well. Great response. So some activities that's included in centers, we know that we have our indoor which is art, blocks, computer and science, language, arts, manipulative play, math, music, quiet time. So during those time frames, children use when playing, their discovering and learning center is more important than the end product. So in indoor learning, centers might include activity areas where children's skills can be developed by participating in their motor skills, creativity, their sensory ability, their language, their number skills, their task completion, communication, the enjoyment of singing, listening, and moving to music. Those are all some of the skills that children can develop just by participating in indoor learning centers and activities. And when we talk about our outdoor learning centers, they might include things such as wood toys or sand and water, climbing, swinging, and quiet time. These offer opportunities for the development of fine and gross motor skill, like we spoke about earlier, as well as social skills and creative expression, a sense of accomplishment, and sensory experiences by being outside and being engaged. So knowing that our centers aren't only limited to the indoor activities, but also the outdoor activities that's taking place, and then that interaction that the adult provide for our children at that point in time. So when we talk about our centers or play. We want to incorporate materials in functional way, and I mentioned some of that earlier. You want to focus on incorporating materials throughout their environment in a functional and natural way that's available. Functional use means writing with a crayon, marker, pencil, or piece of chalk, or using various types of paper pads to write on, reading books, magazines, menus, having that actual old phone in the make-believe area. You can bring in cereal boxes that you have at home. They're free. You already have them. You're going to throw them out. You can tape them up and bring them into the classroom. Milk jugs, whatever it is that they can use in a functional way. The paper menus, receipts as well that you don't even need anymore. Those can be used as well, having functional things available for our children so that they can use, because they can actually understand the greater concept of it when they go out into the real world. Remember, we want to go ahead and make those connections available. Learning centers can offer activities that require children to collaborate and converse. For example, the Pretend and Play Center encourages children to act out scenarios in the world, such as taking on the role of a doctor or patient. If I'm going to take on the role of a doctor and patient, there's certain things that I need in order to do that. Maybe an empty medicine bottle might help me, or a prescription pad might help me, so I can write down your symptoms, because they do see doctors and nurses do so. A restaurant waiter or customer might have that pad and paper too, menus to deliver. So we know we have those takeout menus that we take out, and we have a huge pile. Maybe putting some of those into our centers, and they have visuals. They have great visuals, because we know that restaurants want to sell their meals. So they have great visuals, and the children can see the hamburger picture and the writing below, and that helps with that literacy skill as well. And they can pretend to be waitresses and waiter to assist them with that. Ads from Publix, Winn-Dixie, yes, those are great ones that you can put in. And these are all things that are free. Even the cookbooks that they have available, great things to put to assist our children during these time frames, but making sure that we're there as well, and we're interacting, and we're able to facilitate to help them get to that next level of understanding, and then we allow them to be themselves in that area. The Block Center gives children an opportunity to cooperatively design structures that become a railroad station, a construction site, a highway. We need hammers for this, not just blocks and Legos. We need hammers, measuring tape, anything that we can find that will help us build and see these structures. They probably see something in a magazine or a book they want to make. So those are all important things to consider when we're talking about the functional items in the in our centers, and using the materials in a functional way, and making sure that the teachers are interacting as well with the children in that way, and asking those open-ended questions, and putting those little tidbit of information so that we can get our children to start thinking deeper. So how do we teach our children to take care of each center? Because I know that's always a big thing. Yes, parents, you can bring in parents to talk to the children about their jobs and what's actually taking place. And they can bring in goodies from their jobs that you can use in the centers as well. So how do we teach them to take care of the centers? I know that's a big thing that comes up. So at the beginning of the school year, we keep it super simple, not putting out nearly the amount we will later in the year. Remember, we keep revolving those toys around based off the school year and our children's interests. This is so we can stay on top of showing the children how to take care of materials, including putting them away. So with our 3-year-olds, we don't expect them to neatly clean up each area when they are finished, but we work on the simple actions such as placing all the puzzle pieces back in the tray, or sweeping up spills under the century table. That helps with their fine motor and gross motor skills. So those are all things to consider when working with them. I love what's going on in the chat box here. Yes, you can come up with rules together, and you can consistently review them, and you can write them down together as well to help us strengthen that development. So well-designed physical environments and learning centers, they have clear boundaries. They're visible. when you have clear boundaries so that children know where the center begins, ends, and children are not crowded together, right? And then you want to make sure that all children are visible to adults and that the adults are visible to the children when they're engaging in their center time. And then when learning centers are closed for some reason, because we do understand that sometimes that happens, you want to indicate that centers are closed by using visual prompts such as sheets or blankets, circles with a slash through them, just like construction sites, those road signs. Those are functional ways that we can put those prompts there. Having enough centers for the number of children in your care and enough materials within the center so that children are engaging and not continue arguing over material is important when we talk about that whole behavior management piece. And then you want to consider the size of the center and the location of each center. For example, it's best to avoid having center that is likely to have high level activity, aka the block's dramatic play area, located closer to where the teacher wants quieter activities such as the listening centers or computers. You want to use developmentally appropriate and creative ways to limit the number of children in a center if necessary. So we have the center management, which I have pictures of those as well, and I have visuals for you guys to see. And then you want to organize material and keep them in appropriate places, label across the classroom so that the children can see the picture and pair the visuals. When you have children that speak multiple language, you probably want to have the multiple language in the classroom labels as well. One way you can do is color code languages so that children know to look for their language and they can pair it with the picture that's there. Always attach our visuals through our visual with our words, and that's going to help them with their develop independence. And then you want to have centers organized and ready to go when children arrive during that time frame. So those are all important things to consider when we're talking about a well-designed physical environment and learning centers. So creating meaningful, engaging centers. Materials need to be meaningful and relevant. We spoke about that. You saw it in the video. Children need interest, needs things that's connected to their interests and their lives. Centers needs to be highly engaging and interesting. We need to make sure that they're enjoying what they're doing. It's creative, like I see in the chat box. Kids love creativity. And then it connects to the real world. You want to provide a variety of material in each center, and you want to change the materials or themes in the center on a regular basis for our children as well. So the next few slides, you're going to see some pictures of physical space for a 3-year-old classroom and some ways that we can organize it so that we maximize the learning opportunity that's taking place during this time. So in this picture here, this is some physical space. We see the labels, we see the pictures, we see that the areas are visible and the children are able to facilitate through there. We have our labels once again, we have our centers, we have an abundance of materials, we have things that are functional that the students could use as well. And in this next slide, it goes deeper into materials to promote that independence. Children can grab the materials that they need. They're accessible. You have manipulatives for math. You have patterns. You have symbols. We have money that's there because kids are learning that money pays for things and interchanging money to get stuff. That's available to our children. We have bacon. We have stories based on alphabets and various ideas. So these are all important when we're talking about our classroom environment. These are some classroom helpers ideas. Our 3-year-olds want to do it all by themselves, so allowing them to have those jobs available to them so that they can assist. And then having that center management system where the Lego section, there's already 3 kids. That empty dot means that there's space for one more child. Those are great ideas to help limit behaviors and help facilitate independence for 3-year-olds as they crave. And then I have one last video, and then that will be the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for bearing with me, guys. I'm going to go ahead and quickly play this video. So that was my last video, and a great video I felt of how you can tie in all the concepts that are together. And I'm sorry guys, my dog's in the background. And all the concepts together that we spoke about in just one instance. And the kids are learning, they're engaged, they're happy, and it's all with the teacher interaction that's taking place. I do thank you guys for hanging in there with me. I know we're out of time, but thank you for watching the video and hanging in there with me. Always remember, we still have our screening and referral process. If you do notice a child that's not developing as they should be, on schedule, we have our screening, the ASQ3, the ages and stages, and then the ASQSE, which is social emotional. We have our referral process, 0 to 3. We have our early step, and then the 3 to 5, we have our Florida Diagnostic and Learning Resource System. And then we have our inclusion support. We have the warm line. You can contact Debbie. The number is there if you have any questions. Thank you, thank you. These are some resources. And okay, I'm finished, guys. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. I see that you guys are still here. Thank you so much. I will stick around for another 5 minutes if you have any additional questions. But this wraps up our training on our fabulous 3-year-olds. Have fun with them, play with them, enjoy them. It's really a great year of development. So go for it and enjoy it just as much as they're going to enjoy it. And don't forget to expand on their learning. That's the important part. We don't want them stagnant. We want to go ahead and take them to that next level and expand on what's taking place. Don't forget, before you leave, download those handouts so you have them. There's some great examples and developmental checklists there that's available for you all today. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you so very much for tuning in today. And until next time, you guys stay safe and have a great time with your terrific 3s. Goodbye, everyone. Yes, the questions will automatically come up once you exit out of the system. So once you close out, I am finished, you can exit out. The questions will automatically populate out. I'm just staying around just in case anyone has any more questions, but those questions will populate automatically.